Our Frontier, Frontier 4345, we're stopping on the runway. We just hit somebody, we have an engine fire.
The biggest question with this particular event is how did this person breach that operational area, getting over a 12-foot fence with razor wire?
Tonight, investigators are trying to figure out how someone hopped a fence at DIA and ran across a runway where a plane in the middle of takeoff hit and killed them. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles. We're hearing more from the passengers on that Frontier Airlines plane bound for LA, plus the security setup at DIA, and the biggest questions now facing investigators.
It happened just after 11 p.m. Friday night as Frontier Airlines Flight 4345 from Denver to LA was taking off.
I heard like a loud boom. People started screaming and stuff. There was a lot of toxic smoke right after the incident happened.
DIA says it only took 2 minutes from the time someone hopped the fence on the far eastern edge of the airport property, ran across runway 17 left, and got hit by the plane and died. Federal authorities call that person a trespasser. DIA said they did not work for the airport. The plane engine briefly caught fire. Frontier says there was smoke in the cabin. Pilots aborted takeoff and evacuated all 224 passengers plus 7 crew members from that plane. 12 people on the plane reported minor injuries and 5 went to the hospital.
We have learned that DIA is responsible for the perimeter security, but under the FAA and TSA regulations, according to the airport. Tonight, several federal agencies like the FAA and NTSB are investigating, along with Denver police. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us now with more about what that investigation will look like. He's live outside the airport for us tonight.
Yeah, Jenny, earlier I spoke to an aviation expert who says security breaches like this one, they are rare. But also through this investigation, they believe that it will raise some serious questions around whether airports like DIA are doing enough to protect the perimeters.
I think the biggest thing is motivation. What motivated this person to do this particular event?
That's just the beginning of the list of questions for investigators, says 9 News aviation and safety analyst Greg Feith.
The biggest question with this particular event is how did this person breach that operational area, getting over a 12-foot fence with razor wire?
Denver International Airport says it's responsible for the perimeter security under FAA and TSA regulations. Feith says the sheer size of DIA makes that no small task.
One of the biggest issues is how vast it is. There are miles and miles of fence and property, very obscure places that nobody expects to, see on a regular basis.
It's a reality that 224 passengers felt firsthand Friday night.
It was a horrific moment, like a terrifying moment in my life.
Feith says investigators will also review the evacuation process.
People go into panic mode. People have to maintain their composure, because if you don't, that's when injuries happen. That's when the evacuation process slows down. That's when all of a sudden now, something that was more of a benign event turns into a catastrophic event.
The airport says 12 passengers reported minor injuries and 5 were taken to the hospital. As for what comes next,
airports don't typically have closed-circuit TVs monitoring fence lines. Maybe they need to go to that kind of thing.
And Feith tells me that what investigators will also look into is how the crew responded and also that evacuation from that plane, taking a look at what works and what didn't work. Feith also tells me that he believes that this investigation should turn out some good information within the next 1 or 2 weeks. As for here at DIA, Jenny, that runway where all of this took place reopened at 11 o'clock this morning. Live outside DIA, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
Colton, thank you. And we are hearing from the people who were on board that plane overnight. Many of those 224 passengers were then rebooked onto another flight to LA, and they landed safely in California this morning. Some, though, stayed back, whether it was for medical care or they were just too rattled to travel.
I've never experienced something like that, like the engine caught on fire, and I don't know. It's really hard to fly after that.
The smoke came in instantly from that plane. It came in instantly. So when we got out that plane, we were just glad to be out the plane, and people were just crying and grabbing on their loved ones and hugging their loved ones.
UC Health says they treated 4 of those patients with minor injuries from today's crash, and they have since been released. We will continue to follow this developing story right here on 9 News and online at 9news.com. Now, let's turn our attention to the weather, where we have been riding that roller coaster this week, from the midweek snow to the 80s next week. And here we are, the day before Mother's Day, looking at a very beautiful holiday. Corey Reppenhagen joining me now with some good news.
Yeah, lots of 80s. Tomorrow will be a little bit cooler than it was today, but lots of sunshine. We've got now severe weather unfolding across parts of the state here. You see the lightning strike on the live camera in Burlington on the Vera wireless camera network. You can see the rain and the hail coming down there in Burlington right now. That is a severe cell moving through the area. You can see it right here on radar. Most of the bulk of that storm has moved past Burlington, but they're in the wake of that. More strong storms moving out towards Lyman, one up in Morgan County. All of this area could still have the opportunity to see at least a small thunderstorm over the next hour or two, going into the overnight hours really in some parts of the state. Cold front is past us here in Denver. Temperatures down into the 50s. Big drop from where we were in the middle 70s not too long ago. Temperatures tomorrow morning a little bit cooler, as you might expect with that cold front having moved through, but the afternoon temperatures will be close to 70 with lots of sunshine coming our way for Mama's Day. I'll have more on that forecast and the 80-degree weather that lies ahead. That's coming up.